Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg. Welcome back to Hanging with Mangg. Today we're playing Ticket to Ride because it is the most casual game that I can think of. Yeah, that's about it. Too many times I just pick some intense game and I can't focus, I can't concentrate, so I'm gonna dial it back today. So, this week on this channel, we've got some Final Fantasy VIII going. That'll go on for a while. There's 24 videos for that game. If I upload one every other day, which usually happens, but not always, but if I did, that's 48 days, which is like over a month and a half. And that's Final Fantasy VIII. And we have Final Fantasy 9, 10, 12, 13, 15 to go. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. And then we have all the Doom games. We've got all the Ultimate games. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? Does this have to be? Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah. But that's just the way of it. It is, you know, I chose to do this. I did it, and we'll get through it eventually. But I haven't recorded anything in a couple of weeks, so yeah. And then, so we get to the issue of my next LP, because God of War is going to finish this week. I had already sort of nixed, State of Decay 2, because I didn't really want to do an open world game. And the reviews for State of Decay 2 are not exactly stellar, to say the least. I think it's at like a 62 or something on Metacritic. Like, it's just not that like, you shouldn't listen to that completely, but you know, if you're on the fence about a game and then you see that, it doesn't exactly help. So I don't even know if I'm gonna pick it up, to be honest. Maybe later when it's on sale. I hear there's a lot of bugs in the game, so maybe once they iron that out, maybe then they'll get my money. But for now, I don't know about that. So then you have Detroit Become Human, which I don't think any reviews are available for, so I don't even know about that. And not to mention, it's not even available to pre-order on Amazon. Apparently Amazon is having some sort of tiff or something like that between them and Sony. I guess a few of Sony's sort of big exclusive titles are not available for pre-order. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's a bit of a bummer. Hard to say what's going on with that. Where am I fucking here? Oh. Oh, I didn't go to Nashville. Fucking Nashville. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not nixing Detroit Become Human, but also this week on Friday, Dark Souls Remastered comes out. And so we could do a little Mangg Souls Remastered, which interests me a bit more. Well, potentially. I think Dark Souls Remastered is less of a risk than Detroit Become Human. I mean, no matter what, I'm getting Dark Souls Remastered because it's like half price or something like that if you own Dark Souls. And it's Dark Souls. I mean, come on. They can do whatever they want to me and my body. So how do you get a new this thing? Yes. Duluth, Del Pat, Los Angeles to Chicago. Well, let's grab this. And then this. So yeah, I don't know. I'll still, I guess, wait to see on the Detroit Become Human reviews. If it just tanks, yeah, we're gonna go with Dark Souls. If it seems okay, yeah, we might go with Dark Souls. If it seems really good, we'll go with Detroit Become Human. So, yeah, I know reviews, that's kind of a sticky situation in the world of video games, but so be it. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. How does that happen? Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess that's it. We'll see what happens. I'll keep my eyes on it. As for the Exploring series, it's tricky. That's a lot of fucking reds. Jesus. What was I thinking? Yeah, Exploring series. So this week I released the video on the 2-day Dannen, which I was very nervous about, but it seems I shouldn't have worried about too much. Yeah, I was really not that pleased with that video, but things turned out all right. I didn't even really get that many problems with pronunciation, so that was good. What is this hot, sweaty garbage you're giving me? Ah, nice. Okay, it's getting a little tight. Getting a little tight. Okay, getting a little tight in that section. Cha-ching. Then this week I worked in the video for Cuchulainn, one of the great Irish mythological heroes. Very unique. Oh, you fucker. very unique hero. Okay, I guess we'll try an alternative. It's not gonna work. Still could work. So yeah, that was an interesting video to work on. So I didn't know anything about Cucullin, and he's got some pretty wild tales. And long video, 12-minute video. I was kind of shocked, but I think it was a good one, which is rare of me to say. Although the artwork was rough. Celtic mythology, really not a very popular art subject. So you've got to make do. Oh, you rat bastard. Okay, is there anything else that I can even work with? New York to Atlanta. How do I... Well, theoretically... Oh, I could do that. Okay. Let's just try sticking with that. So yeah, I think it'll be... Aw, oh, damn it. You really screwed me, Vanderbot. So anyways, I'm planning to do another Celtic video this week on the Horn of the Dada, I believe. Then next week, I'll be working on a Han Solo video based on... Well, not based on... Well, yes. Technically. Wow, I really got boned. I suck at this game. I played Ticket to Ride once in my life, and I doubt I won. Well, I wanted to do a Han Solo video around the release of the new movie, because that's a very topical subject. That's how you get good views. Don't you know? And ideally, you would release the video, like, the week the movie comes out. Like, I would have released the Han Solo video... I would release it tomorrow. Right? And that would be good. Because then you'd have all these people like, oh, you know, what about Han Solo? Oh, he's so cool. I want to search videos for Han Solo because he's so cool. I guess that's how people think. I don't know. And the problem with that, though, is I could do that. I could have made a Han Solo video a year ago, based on like the Legends, the Legends continuity, the old continuity. But since, you know, people interested in Han Solo are going to be interested in it because of the movie, most likely, it doesn't really make sense to provide them with a sequence of events, a backstory that does not correlate much at all with the current canon, the current canonuity. As did I say canonuity? Canonuity, that's a new word for you. The current continuity as presented in the new film, because, you know, Legends no longer applies, so they can rewrite anything they want. I think they're sort of sticking with the same premise, but to be really accurate, it's got to go off of the new stuff. So I have to wait until I see the movie before I can work on the video. normally we see movies on a Tuesday, which would have kind of screwed me. It would have thrown off my schedule a little bit. I would have had to wait until I saw the movie and then crammed the rest of the... Yeah, it wouldn't have been great. But fortunately, we're seeing it opening night. So this week, this Thursday. So then the following week, I can just work on it. I mean, I could hurry it a little bit, but I don't know. I don't have huge expectations for the video. Just because I know, like, everybody and their mother is going to be making a video about Han Solo and stuff. So, it is what it is. I'm going to need these for that long stretch there. You son of a bitch. Ugh, you mother... all right. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be fun for me to work on. That's mostly what I care about, I guess. But I did get... I got a message on Twitter. A direct message. And I mean, it's probably not proper for me to really discuss this at length, but I got an offer, I suppose would be the word, for a sponsorship, which would really be like my first one, I guess. Sure, let's not have any pinks. God damn it. And so it's not like a big time, like, like, you know, Coca-Cola is not sponsoring me or anything like that. Sony is not sponsoring me or anything like that. It's a podcast. I don't want to say what podcast it is, because, you know, deals fall through or who knows what, but it's a podcast. It's hard to sort of judge how popular a podcast is. Like, I don't know how... It's not like YouTube. But it seems decently sized, I guess. I'm just throwing this game away, man. But hey, if I nail that sweet 6-piece McNugget, oh yeah. Anyways, so the guy seems very personable, so that's good. And originally he just wanted like a mention at the start of a video. Actually, originally he wanted me to do a Norse video or a God of War video. But I'm really just sort of done with that. I wouldn't just force myself to do a video for no reason other than that. So I told him I was moving on to Celtic mythology. And I thought that was going to be the end of it, but he actually decided he would be interested in sponsoring one of those as well. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to stop you throwing money at me. And so this is the card hoarding strategy. And so he wanted me to do like a mention at the start of a video of his podcast and include a link and stuff. And I'm like, that really just goes against my style. Like, I wouldn't do that for any sponsorship. Which isn't exactly true, if we're gonna be honest. I mean, if Coca-Cola said, here, have 100 grand, please mention Coke at the start of your video, I'd be like, fucking drink up, people, alright? Drink up. But for the most part, I would try to negotiate to move it towards the end of the video. Just because I've always been happy with the immediate start to my videos. You know, I don't have an intro. It just goes. I'm trying to get to fucking Seattle. Oh god. Seattle sucks. Actually, don't do that. Don't do that. And so he said that's fine, we can do that. And then he asked me how much I think the cost is going to be for doing this sponsorship, which is just a wild thing. It's just so weird to me to discuss business. Like, I'm not a businessman. Like, who the fuck am I to request money? That being said, I did arrive at a number. And he hasn't gotten back to me since, so we'll see. I didn't arrive at the number randomly. I mean, I looked at it, I googled like what you should charge for a sponsorship, and they have like algorithms to help you come up with this based on like the average view count of your last 10 videos. And so I just went off that. It seemed, I don't know. I don't know. It's sort of like, you know, it's advertising in general. It's like, how do you really determine how effective your advertising is? You know, advertising is a massive industry. And it continues to be massive for a reason. So I assume, you know, there's studies and all that has proven that all this money that these companies put into advertising, they get profit off of, you know, there's a net gain because of it. So even though, you know, wow, that's a lot of money they're putting into just commercials and stuff like sponsorships and all this kind of stuff, but in the end they end up making money off of it. Because otherwise, why would advertising still exist? It's been around for like 100 years. Or whatever, I don't know. So I've never advertised anything. I mean, I'm sort of probably an odd case for the Exploring series because I've never like promoted the channel at all. I've never networked with anyone. I've never been like, hey, check out my channel. I've never asked for likes. I've never asked for subs or anything like that. I just make videos and I get paid, and that's it. And so you see all these other channels that seem like, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do this, you gotta ask around, you gotta network, you gotta comment, you know, on other people's stuff, you gotta talk to other people, you really gotta advertise. And I was just like, I mean, maybe if I did all that, I would be more popular. It's possible, but I feel like I'm clipping along at a good pace, so it's hard for me to really make that argument. Anyways, so yeah, we'll see, you know, if it falls through, if his numbers were wildly off from my numbers and we're just not on the same wavelength, and it just doesn't happen. It's not a huge loss, I don't think. Oh wow, that's free fucking points. you know, it's something that I didn't expect to have happen anyways. So to have it not happen is not like, oh God, I'm devastated. It wasn't something I'm like, oh, I hope this happens. You know, if it does and it works and I get extra money, I can't complain. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I figured if I keep getting more popular, at some point there would be some sort of sponsorship thing happening. It's not totally out of my realm of thought. Okay, that's doable. That's also potentially doable for a lot more points. Let's make it happen, Captain. And I know recently, for God of War, for the video game, Sony... I'm pretty sure it was Sony in charge of the whole thing, but maybe it was just Santa Monica, I don't know. But they did sponsor a number of, like, lore channels and things like that to make Norse mythology videos. I know Extra Credits was one of them, because that was very random to see them come out with a video. They came out with a video on the Aesir Vanir War, which when I first saw that, I was like, why the fuck would you pick that to be your, like, one big video about Norse mythology? Why would you pick that? Why would they sponsor that video? That's such a, like, and they made like a whole video about it. I was like, that's such a minute topic. There's really almost nothing to say. Unless you drag it out, which, you know, they did. I just didn't get it. But after playing God of War, it makes a lot more sense, because I think they want that to be a much bigger topic. You chuckle fuck. Now I am boned. Why would you do that, Jane? I don't think they would have come to me even if I... I mean, maybe they saw my channel and they were like, oh, he's already doing a whole series on Norse. Why should we pay him? He's doing it anyways. But that probably wasn't on their radar, unfortunately. Not yet. Someday, maybe. Someday. And, okay, well, now Miami is fucked. Miami is just off the table. This is my last turn. My last turn. That's the best I can do. You know, I don't really have that many qualms about what I would be sponsored by, what I would promote. Which I suppose is sort of a sellout mentality, but I think it's really only a sellout if it affects, like, the quality of your work. I think getting paid to just mention something, that's like a job. That doesn't affect. It would never affect my video. I don't think, unless they. I don't think so. Oh my god. I guess that's just a nice thought to have. It would never affect my videos. But hey, gotta get paid, right? So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to mention the podcast. It's probably not even proper for me to talk about it, but it's Hanging with Mangg. We talk about everything here. So we'll see if it falls through. If it doesn't, I'm sure you'll see when it happens. The problem with including it at the end of the video, is almost no one watches to the end of the video. Which is not something that should be public knowledge, I suppose, for any potential sponsorships. But yeah, like, the numbers fall off drastically as soon as I stop talking. Because I do a fade to black, so I don't. A lot of people probably don't even know that I do like the end of video quotes and stuff. But you know, it is what it is. If I included a sponsorship at the start of a video, that's when I would think, okay, I'm selling out. That's a sellout moment. So if I ever do that, you can call me out on it. And I'll say, yes, I know, but the money. But anyways, these are all just fanciful dreams. So, moving on. Moving on. I don't think I played any board games this week, so that's not a topic of discussion. I think we could just go all the way down. Where's my other one? Portland to Phoenix. Okay, that's yeah, okay. We can do this. There's great music in this game. It reminds me of something, but I'm not exactly sure what. I don't know. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about Godbound, shall we? Godbound's very exciting. So we had our one-shot. 10 buried blades that I ran for a group of 5 player characters. A sudden jump up from our usual 3, which was pretty exciting. And I put I put session 1 in the title of that stream. All right, so I pretty much thought that it would be more than one session, and in the end, it very well, we could have gone on. We could have done more than one session. It did not have to end with one, but we'll get to that later. So yeah, it was a one shot, just a one shot, and so let's see. I'm not going to be able to remember the whole cast of characters we had. Ziggy was very prominent. He had a character named Zartan, which is just his go-to one-shot character. And, stop it. Okay. He had the words of death, sky, and command. But he was very all in on death. He just liked death a lot. Because it was a one-shot. And I've always really sort of said this, like, you should never really tell people it's a one-shot. It's just, you're just inviting trouble. It's at least with our group, it's very hard to have a very, like, stable, like, serious one-shot. It just doesn't happen because people know there's no consequences and there's no next session. You know, they don't have to think about these characters in a campaign or something. Like, it's really just sort of an excuse to have fun, to just go a little wild. And I can certainly relate. You know, I invented the one-shot character. So I understand. Let's see. Studs made his sort of Fargroom character from the Artemis campaign because he has not played an RPG in a long time. So it was his first time back in the saddle in a while. So he had like might artifice, and I want to say endurance. Mert had might. I think he might have also had endurance. I don't know. I think there was a lot of endurance going around. He definitely had might, and I think he had luck. Phil had artifice, time, and night. And Thomas had beast, fertility, and endurance. Fertile beasts. And so, yeah. So it was a sorted cast of characters. And I think that's one of the tougher parts of Godbound is finding a way to have all your PCs work together and give them reasons to be part of the same group. You know, in D&D, it's sort of like, well, you're all level 1, and you all have a thirst for adventure, one way or another, you know, whatever the case. And you can sort of work on that a little bit and change it up sometimes. But level 1 D&D characters don't really need that much motivation to work together because they're not really that powerful. They know there's scary stuff out there. They know they can benefit from working as a team. Godbound, however, you know, you're like, yeah, you're demigods. It's like, I'm a demigod. You know, there's just this inherent overwhelming power in each character, and that just sort of promotes a concept of individuality and independence. And that's just sort of common throughout everything. It's just gods don't often play nice together because they're gods. So, sort of combining that level 1 D&D philosophy with the fact that you're demigods, it's a little tricky. So, for the sake of the one-shot, you know, we don't really... That's just whatever. You know, it's, you guys are together, I don't give a fuck. You're working together. But for the upcoming campaign, that's a little bit tricky. You really have to sort of think about this. And so, just to sort of... as a side note, for the campaign, I guess what we're doing, the concept that brought us together, because we're all going to be pretty different. We come from different regions, and I'll talk about my character later, but we come from different regions, we have different philosophies, you know, we have different goals. And so what brought us together, and I think what is probably a common tactic for bringing different player characters together, is you all became Godbound at the same time. Some sort of shared event between the group of you that turned you into Godbound. You know, the book is very open about what makes people into Godbound, like what causes this effect. So that's really completely up to you. Oh, fucking you, that asshole, every game. Look at that. This guy has 21 trains left. Vanderbot just throwing them away. What an asshole. He's a real piece of shit. I don't even know what I can do. I can do this as the most points. Actually, wait a minute, hold on. Oh no, why wouldn't I complete? Oh, because I can't. I needed one more turn, you piece of shit. Anyways, so what is bringing us together in the campaign, that we haven't started yet, is Ziggy came up with this. There are, in the default setting, there are these things called night roads. And they're basically like portals. They are, yeah, man, I suck at this game. They are roads, but they're sort of like metaphysical roads that go through an alternate dimension. And so some of the roads will take you to like a different dimension entirely. So, you know, say you were playing Godbound, you were in some sort of standard setting, but you wanted to have a session or two take place in Sigil, or on the far plains, or in the realm of fire, or even a little bit more wild, and you wanted to have a session take place in modern America, or Roshar or whatever, you would just, they could find a night road that looks relatively stable, and they could be prompted to go through it, and then boom, they're in another dimension until they find the night road to take them back, or something like that. It's a lot of times the vehicle just take them to different locales, different settings. But there are also like broken night roads that are sort of leaking through. They have openings. It's not a perfect like tunnel to another dimension. There's cracks in it, and so the creatures that exist in the dimension between dimensions, which is very Stephen King-esque, I suppose, they can crawl into the night road and then pour into one of the existing dimensions. And so a sort of cracked night road at the bottom of a dungeon is a perfect way to have some sort of really alien creatures and eldritch horrors pop in for a fun time. So for the start of the campaign, like right before the campaign starts, basically all of our characters from different regions, wherever we were, we got sucked into a night road. For whatever reason, you know, this is a lot of hand wave stuff, but we got pulled into a night road and we got taken to some other dimension, some sort of horrifying dimension. And there we were forced to work together to survive. And so we sort of bonded through our survival. And during our time there, we became Godbound. For whatever reason. Again, I don't know if Ziggy's really going to go into it, but basically the long and short of it, we got pulled into a night road. It was scary. We had to survive. We worked together. We bonded. We became Godbound. And we all got dumped out in the region of Vizio, which is one of the regions of the default setting. So we all got dumped out there for some reason, even though we all came from different places. And so we're all very fresh Godbound. At the start of the campaign, we're going to be fresh Godbound. Not really certain of all our powers. And I wouldn't say we're going to be like fast friends due to our predicament. But I think we all sort of respect each other to a degree. you know how it is. But I think it sort of showcased like, okay, yeah, we're Godbound, but like there's some horrifying shit out there. And we all needed each other to survive one way or another. I have no idea what my character did because I'm just like a liar. I just talk a lot. I avoid combat entirely, but whatever. I helped you guys, all right? I know why my character would need the others, but we'll see why they need me. And so we'll start out, you know, somewhere in Vizio. I'm not sure what the first session's gonna be like. We're all fresh Godbound, and we all have different goals. We all have different obligations. So I don't know where we're going to go after that. You know, I think it's going to be like, well, I want to go back to my home, and then I want to go back to my home, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not like out of the question. I think time skips are going to be pretty common in Godbound because there are mechanics for time skips. You're sort of encouraged to do like these time skips. Okay, a month goes by, 3 months goes by, so on and so forth. Because once you have a cult, you have people worshiping you, you get Dominion points based on in-game months. For every in-game month that goes by, you get these points. And these points are very powerful. They let you do godly stuff. So if you want to build up Dominion points, you just say, okay, let's have a year go by. And boom, you have it. Like, there's an incentive to do that. So, this is just garbage. Where's Boston? Man, I did not know Boston was that far up. You live and learn. I mean, it's possible the points are just kind of minuscule. Maybe we just stick with this for now. Oh, you have to have 2. Damn it. What was I talking about? I don't remember. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But that doesn't matter. Let's talk about the one-shot. So they're in Dulambai, which is sort of the China, some sort of form of ancient China. Not ancient, I suppose, but a ways back. And they come across this small town called Gongfang. And you're a real piece of work. What the fuck? I guess I do need blacks. So they enter the town. They didn't immediately murder everybody, which I thought was a possibility. And they come across sort of the middle plaza, and they find the magistrate. That piece of shit. They find the magistrate talking to a group of young people who all look pretty downcast. And they find out... Well, they find out eventually, more or less, throughout a bunch of stuff, that this group is being sent up to study with a scholar who lives in the mountains. And none of them look very pleased about it, but for some reason, their parents are getting a tax break. Like, there have been excessive taxes in Gongfang. And for some parents, these are being relieved, or lessened, because these, like, teenagers are going to study with this scholar. And I feel like not one of the players thought about this as to why the magistrate of this town would care that these students are going to study under the scholar. Like, why would he lessen taxes because of that? Which is a big tip-off point. Like, you really should wonder this, and they did not care at all. They were immediately focused on just going to see this scholar. So they wanted to disguise themselves in these white robes that these teenagers were wearing. And head up the mountain with them to find out what's going on with this scholar. And it's a little bit of a bummer that they were focused on this scholar so much. Because there was multiple other things that they could have done, including fight. I really wanted them to take on the bandit leader, because they would have gotten to take on storm a castle. Maybe they could have done like an assassination thing. They could have fought a whole big, large group of like 150 men. You know, it would have been pretty interesting. But part of that's probably my fault, I So basically, there aren't any orange cards in this deck. I think this is my problem with this. I just get too focused on like one little route. It's like, I gotta get this, and it just never worked. Oh, I actually, what? God, what? Okay, well, it's not impossible. I just need a lot of greens now. Okay, it's possible. Still need a lot of greens. Okay, it's possible. I need to just build this before some asshole comes in. Anyways, so as they're talking there, this like smoke woman comes flying down from the heavens, screaming in some unknown language. And really, I expected them to just like snipe her or something like that. But they were like, they were trying to like, she was made of smoke or something like, or she was like emanating smoke. So they did like multiple things to try and like produce a big wind to try and blow her away. And I'm just like, no, that's really lame. Cause I don't know if she's entirely made of smoke. It's sort of unclear based on the one shot, but I was just like, I want her to explode, because that's if they hit her with anything, she explodes. And I was like, I want that. Come on, just blow her away in the wind. Like, that's not cool. Maybe that wasn't right, but I don't know. Ziggy was kind of taking charge of things, and I was like, I want to give somebody a chance to just make this woman explode. But then Thomas comes in, and he turns into a big bird, and he tries flapping his wings to make, like, he could have just, like, pecked at her, and she would explode, but no, he's like, blowing, he's, like, fanning his wings. I'm like, ugh. So, finally, Mert's like, oh, I commit effort, I can use luck as a weapon within 100 feet. Okay, so I want to use luck as a weapon against her. And I'm just like, all right, I'm not going to even waste thought thinking about this. So why don't you tell me how you use luck to affect this smoke woman coming down from the heavens towards you? And he couldn't really think of anything. And he's just like, oh, I charge at her and maybe something happens. And I'm like, what? This is going on too long. Okay, you charge at the smoke woman and you connect with her and she explodes. Okay. And they really didn't give it much thought after that. It was like, oh, smoke woman, okay. All right, back to the robes. Let's get some robes and we'll go with this. So anyways, they actually never get robes, funnily enough. They just talk to the guards and they're like, oh, we want to come with. And they're like, okay, you'll have to talk to the Mrs. Wen or whatever to see if she'll approve of this. She's meeting us outside of the city. Meanwhile, Phil stays back because he's just a creepy, sneaky bastard. And he makes like a little stick doll. He makes a doll out of like twigs with his artifice abilities. And he gives it to Ziggy. Ziggy's very suspicious of this thing. It turns out to be nothing. You know, it turns out to be just be innocuous. But he's very suspicious. And basically, Phil just wanted to use it because he has an ability that lets him, like, see out of any object that he's created. So he basically used it as like a spying tool for himself. That's a lot of pink. You screwed me. Oh, great. And he sort of stays behind from the group for like 3/4 of the session, or half the session. He sort of just follows them at a distance, being a creepy bastard. And there was a fun moment where Ziggy like made a blizzard behind him, and so Phil had to crawl through a blizzard because he wasn't with the group. But anyways, they meet with the woman Wen, and she does permit them to follow her, because she knows that there's something up with this group. But basically, the scholar, Real Man Xiao, he knows about these Godbound, and he wants to basically kick their ass and harvest their bodies for some magical essence. That's his goal. So he knows about them. He knows they're in town, and he basically sent Wen to retrieve them so that she could bring them. Actually, that wasn't her original goal. Her original goal was to tell the magistrate to recruit these Godbound to go into the forest to deal with some problem, and then while they're in the forest, Real Man Xiao was going to ambush them. But since they were with this group, that sort of threw off those plans, and so she had to improvise and take them with. God, oh my god. Oh my god. Duluth? No, that's just all shit. Go big or go home, I guess. Actually, no, how the fuck am I gonna... Okay, I have to go all the way here without anybody fucking things up. What are the odds? I do have a lot of cards. Anyways, they go up the mountain. They go into the monastery, which normally you cannot really find the monastery without Wen. She has like the secret little thing to find the monastery. It's protected by magic. And they go into the monastery. They think everything's sort of okay. They're checking out like everything. They're using their like artifice powers to like check everything to see if there's any like anything malicious going on. But they don't really detect anything. And they meet with Real Man Xiao, and remember, he wants to kill them. So he's planning to kill them. So he tells them to go wait in one of these buildings, and he will get their robes for them so that they can join the monastery. And so they do. They all go in there, and they wait for like 10 minutes. And during that 10 minutes, Real Man Xiao is arming every single one of his students. So he's giving all of his students weapons so that they can help kill these intruders. These heathenous intruders. Finally, though, you piece of this game, man. This fucking game. What an ass wipe. I think this is my best bet. Yet again, I lose. Eventually, Thomas goes out in the form of a mosquito so that he can see what's going on. And he sees them all being armed. And he sees the woman Wen standing over by the barracks. So he goes over to, like, listen to what she's saying. But, you know, the one-shot basically said that Real Man Xiao detects their power. And that's how he knows that they've entered the town. Like it says, he knows when they enter the town. And he wants to kill them. So he can sense them. And so I didn't know really the limits of that power. And I've been rewatching a lot of Dragon Ball Z. So I basically interpret it like that. Like he can sort of sense their energy. You know. And so I did give them a strong hint of this, actually. I was more generous than I could have been. Right sort of when they entered the monastery, Thomas was in the form of like a little raccoon, tanuki, and a raccoon dog or whatever. And he was like running around, and Real Man Shao like snapped his fingers at him and said, you know, please join your associates. Like, he knew that Thomas was in the form of this little raccoon dog. That was a strong hint that this guy knows who these people are. He can sense their power. He can sense them. And so they really should have kept that in mind with Thomas flying out as a mosquito. It's like, there's nothing different here. He can still sense who you are. So I think that's not my problem. That's your problem. You didn't think of this. So Real Man Shao like casually just walks over. Thomas does not flee, just sort of hangs around as a mosquito. Real Man Shao raises his hand and shoots out like an energy blast. Again, I've been watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z. And Dragon Ball Super. So he shoots Thomas, almost kills him, like it's horrific. And he says something, I don't know what like, I know you're there, blah, blah, you're foolish, blah, blah. And then he's gonna shoot another hand at him. And so Thomas, like, he uses some endurance thing to make him immune. But the jig is pretty much up, and he can't really, like, this guy can sense him. He's not really even using his eyes to see him. So it doesn't matter how small he is. Like, he knows where he is. So basically, Thomas flees into one of the other buildings, and he, like, hides in a little crevice, which really does not say, like I said, this guy can sense him. But Real Man Shao probably thinks this is amusing, and this probably reconfirms his feelings, like, you know, these puny like, I'm gonna wipe the floor with these guys. This is the best they've got. A little bit more time goes by. I think Phil suddenly like he teleports to them inside the building, and they all rush out there, and so the big battle ensues. The group of students, there was really only like 40 of them, but they all charge at the group, the players. But they have, especially Studs here, had some like earth abilities. Oh yeah, he had earth, not endurance. Artifice, might, and earth. So he had some earth abilities, and he was like causing earthquakes and like shaking the ground, so that they never really got up. They had no stable footing. So they never actually encountered them. And so all of the students ended up dying due to just fray dice. Like every round they were just like, I kill a couple students. And they had no regret. Like all of these students were terrified. None of them wanted to be there. They were completely innocent, but it's a one-shot, so they slaughtered them all. The woman Wen was nowhere to be found, so it was really just them versus Real Man Shao, but he was no pushover. This guy had energy blast that did straight damage. He had 2 attacks per turn. He could fly. He had endurance miracles, so he could become immune to damage. He was no joke, and I didn't really pull any punch. I was trying to kill him. It's a one-shot. So none of them explicitly died, but they all fled. Thomas is really the only one that I would say probably died, because he was hiding in the building, and Studs caused an earthquake that caused all the buildings to collapse. And I think Thomas was actually like unconscious, because he had used Divine Fury to do one last action to flee into the building. So the building collapsed on him. I'm gonna say he's dead. Mert, he just jumped away. He used like mighty jumps or whatever, so he jumped away from the whole thing, and so he's probably, I think he like went unconscious in midair. So it's possible some wolves found his body and ate him. It doesn't matter, it's a one-shot. Phil like teleported away using his night powers, and he like hid in a cave. And I think he lived out his life as Gollum. And then Studs grabbed Ziggy, and then he used his mighty jump or whatever, and they jumped away. And then in midair, Studs like threw Ziggy, because Ziggy doesn't take any falling damage, and neither do the might people from doing the jump. So they landed in different areas, but Real Man Shao can fly, so he flew after him, because he's like, you know, he lost all his students, You know, his monastery is like in shambles. If any, he's gonna kill these and harvest their essence. He's got to do that. So he flew after Ziggy, and he would have killed him easily. But Ziggy had two really good abilities. He had an ability that whenever he was attacked, the attacker took 1 damage automatically, and he had Scythe Hand, which even if it missed on his turn, he did 1 damage. And so when you only have 8 health, those automatic 1 damages really add up, because he had no more effort to do his endurance stuff to become immune to damage. So he got down to 1 health, and he's just like, if I hit him again, I'm dead. And so I just figured, you know, even with all this shit, he would probably flee and try and stalk them later and kill them one by one. So yeah, that's how it ended. And we could have gone another session. Thomas probably would have had to make a new guy, maybe Mert as well. They would have had to reconvene and figure this out, but it would have been a little tricky, but I would have done it. Because really it came down to Ziggy. He's been DMing for quite a while now. Like, he did the Shadow of the Demon Lord, and then he went right into Sprawl. So he's been DMing for a number of months straight. And so this was sort of his reprieve, you know, to be a player for a little while. And so I was like, you know, we can do another one. I don't want to deprive you of being a player. And no, he's excited enough. He's that excited about running Godbound that he's willing to just jump right into it with only the 1 session in between. So I was fine with that because I want to play, of course. So yeah, it could have gone on. I explained some of the other elements in the session that they missed out on. I think they were a little sad they didn't get to take on like the bandit army, but there's going to be plenty of that in the campaign. So like I said, it really only matters to Ziggy, and if he was excited about running it, then all power to him. I'm not going to stop him. So yeah, I'm very excited. My character is named Tempest, which is Latin for time. But he doesn't have any time powers, so go figure. I really tried to find out, like, okay, so the region that I'm from is from the Patrian Empire, which is really just Rome. It's the Roman Empire. And I decided to make my character a senator. And so I was like, okay, I want like a Roman god name. And so I was looking for Roman gods of like luck, because I went pretty heavy into luck. I wanted to be a luck god. And the Roman god of luck is Fortuna, which is a goddess. I was like, well, that doesn't work. I can't do that. So I was looking at the Greek gods of luck and fortune, and one of them was named Kairos. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Kairos. He's really like the Greek god of opportunity, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But what's the Roman equivalent? And they said the Roman equivalent was like what was it? Ocasio. I was like, yeah, it's a little fanciful sounding. But then it said, or Tempest. And I was like, oh, Tempest, that's a badass name. And so I tried to find info about this Roman god, Tempest. I couldn't find anything. There's nothing on the internet about this guy. The only time I ever saw mentioned was in relation to Kairos. It's like, oh yeah, the Roman equivalent is Tempest. And I was like, okay, do you have any other info? Apparently not. So I don't know. It must be somewhere mentioned in some old book. But I figured the name is cool enough. I can live with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Tempest. So he's a former, or I guess he still wants to be a senator. He's very loyal to the Patrian Empire, which is sort of a different take for me. Because you'd expect all these Godbound to be very independent and want to rule everything for themselves. But no, Tempest is very loyal to the Patrian Empire. He wants to use all of his powers to benefit the Empire. and have them cover the globe. The Patreon Empire rules the globe. And he's friends with the Emperor. So he doesn't exactly want to overthrow the Emperor or anything like that. But, you know, if the Emperor dies or something happens to him, Tempest would be willing to take on that responsibility. But, you know, it's probably not as fun to be the Emperor. You know, you're sort of tied down a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I get to say glory to the Empire a bunch. And we get to start in Vizio, which is kind of funny because Vizio is sort of like, it used to be under control of the Patreon Empire, but they broke off. And we've been so busy with our war with the Dulembai Regency that we're basically like, once we kick the Dulembai ass, then we'll deal with this whole Vizio thing. And so I get to go around and just refer to it as the colonies. So that'll be fun. So yeah, I'm big on luck, because luck sounds a lot of fun. I went with fate. So sort of luck and fate, I think, go together. I picked one fate gift where I can do a round of action and no one is aware of it. Like, no one remembers it, whatever I did that turn, unless it's like, unless they have to immediately act in their self-defense during my round, then they are aware of it. But otherwise, I can do whatever and no one knows. If it's a worthy foe, they get to make a save to see what I'm doing. But other than that, it's just like a blip in time that everyone forgets, which is pretty cool. You can do some fun stuff with that. You can poison people. Who knows what? Steal stuff. And then I went with deception because I figured I'm gonna be talking a lot. I could either be really diplomatic, but I'm like, nah, I'm a senator. Come on, I'm gonna be lying a lot. So I went with 2 deception powers, where no one can lie to me. I am aware of all lies, and everyone believes my lies. So I can just lie all day, baby. So that'll be fun. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. You know, back to 5 PCs. Mert, you know, we'll see if he did leave early during the one shot. I think that's going to be a common thing. So it's sort of 4.5 PCs. But, yeah, I think it's going to be... I think we're going to get some good stories out of it. Alright, I guess that's enough talking for today. Check out the Cucullin video tomorrow. Fun times, the Irish Hulk. We got some more God of War, the end of God of War this week, some more Final Fantasy VIII, and maybe something new come Friday. But my name is Mangg. This has been Hanging with Mangg. See you fine folks next week.